And welcome everyone. This is Leslie Christin and I am here at Studio CARA and I am with a fabulous, amazing, and just renowned, I would say, Sheryl Plouffe. And Plouffe, I'm sorry, she is Canadian.
It's totally fine. Trust me. You can say it however you want. I am not offended.
Oh my gosh. So this is, if some of you do not know her, because we already did, last year, we did a kind of impromptu Facebook Live as well, but we are getting together once again. Of course, that was pre-COVID, and now we have a whole different conversation or an accelerated conversation, I would say.
Yeah.
And so I am so thrilled to have her here with me. And I actually want to real quickly give you a little background on who Sheryl is. She is an entrepreneur, international speaker, and former Canadian TV broadcaster. She has been seen over, she has been seen by millions over the course of her 25-year career in news and media, and has produced thousands of videos. Wow. Produced
True.
thousands of videos, because you're going to tell us more about this, because you're
Yeah.
kind of switched from being filmed so much to now helping all of us launch our careers or get into this world of Zoom. So welcome, Sheryl. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm excited to be here. And it's true. I mean, it's funny when you say that, I go, yeah, it's true. I've done thousands of videos now. And much of what I've done as a video creator and video producer has been self-taught, because my experience had always been as the talent in front of the camera. And while I had that dialed in when I started this journey in 2013, is really when it started part-time initially, I had the on-camera stuff dialed in. The behind-the-scenes stuff, not so much. I'd been with editors in editing bays and watched them edit videos. I had a little bit of insight, but everything that I've learned has been through the school of hard knocks in video editing and video producing. And so now what I'd like to do is share and shortcut that for people so that they can just start making videos that actually truly get the results they want.
Love it. And it's so funny because my experience is a little bit kind of opposite, where being a makeup artist for film and TV and commercials and corporate things, always behind the scenes. And now I love introducing people that I know, and also, you know, doing so much education online now. So kind of like the little flip here. And so I need you, and you and I have shared services as well. So that's great. Wonderful. So
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to dive in today because between the two of us, we have a lot of great tips to share.
yes, yes. So Sheryl, I would love for you to start, because we want to, you know, you have a certain, you know, certain experience and talent, and you have some key strategies for us to help people. And then I've also, so one of the things that I find a lot is, I find a couple of things I'm just going to share, because I know that some people out there, they may, you know, they're getting thrusted into doing Zoom videos or Facebook Lives or webinars with their work because they're working from home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hear often that, oh my gosh, I've got to do enough. You know, it's kind of like that dread that they're just having to be in front of camera and they don't really know what to do. Or there's also, I think, some of the people out there that they're in the world of what I call what they don't know that they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a bit of, maybe put a little bit more effort into your presence, your branding, your content, and you could just like look so much better. You know,
Yeah.
so I kind of see a little bit of that as well. Not that, you know, granted, when it's live, I love it because it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, it's that imperfect action. But this competition is so stiff out there right now. And first off, if we're not somewhat visually pleasing or interesting, then boop, you know, that client is on to the next thing, or that potential client. So
there's a fine line. There's a fine line between putting your best foot forward and looking like you've put some effort into it, and then not necessarily putting so much pressure on yourself that you feel you have to reach some unattainable level of perfection. There's a fine line, and you have to figure out what that fine line is. We hope that through these tips that we share today, we're going to help you define what that fine line is for you, because what we're talking about is branding, and branding is a lot of different inputs. It's all of the different inputs or outputs that you put out there are going to define how people perceive you.
Right.
And so your brand is really predicated on how you show up. And so we both, you and I both, Leslie, agree that it's not about perfection. You definitely want to be putting some effort into it, and that there are some strategies that you can use to be able to present yourself in the way that you want to be perceived.
Absolutely. And I love what you said. You know, it's not about putting so much pressure, but it's learning those key tips that, having you and I been in production for so many years, it's kind of like a given. So it's some of the things that, you know, we see right away.
Yeah.
And that can really elevate just so much your, you know, your presence. So I'm excited to get into it, because
Yeah, me too. I was just thinking, actually, as you said that, I think I have, oh man, if I can find it, I have when we get into the first tips, I have this other thing that I'm going to try and find. No, I won't be able to find it. We have some tips and I actually have some things I'm going to share. You can probably see a little bit of color here on the side, but I've got some items that I'm actually going to show you on screen today of some things that you can think about as you integrate into your brand.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. And I've got a couple of tips as well. I've got 3 tips that I'm going to show you. I'm actually going to show you some on myself, because today I did not do any highlighting or contouring or blush, in case you're wondering why I look like a little moon pie and how that can rock your face really quickly, knowing what to do. And it's easy. And I'm going to show you in just, you know, a matter of just, you know, taking 2 minutes to do that. Not a whole full-on dramatic tutorial or anything.
Okay.
We don't need that. And then we're going to talk about some color choices, clothing choices, and I'm going to talk about tying that in with some happy colors, some lip colors.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about complexion, it's about that, and then it's about, which I want to point out real quickly, is that you want to, so for those of you, and if you are, let me just go here, I want to go to Facebook, because if you are on Facebook and you want to say who you are, say hello, I want for you to look at one thing, and especially when you're looking at yourself on camera, what is the first thing that you see about yourself, you know, or what do people see about you? And I'm going to say there's 2 things that I look at, you know, when I'm looking at Sheryl. And the first thing is her eyes. That's the first thing. And we're going to talk about eyes, because she has beautiful eyes, but she also knows how to maximize the look, right? We had some fun, you know, doing some things with that. Of course, I'm wearing glasses so I can kind of read my stuff as well. So that's always a little bit of a challenge, because I'm getting that kickback with the, you know, flash and all that. And then of course that beautiful color that she's wearing with her sweater, that I believe is one of her favorite colors. It looks amazing on you, and it really makes your eyes pop. So that is something that the first thing you want, you don't want something to be distracting away from your message and your look. That's the key. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think the thing I was just looking for in my drawers here, because I realized the first thing that I really wanted to share was, from a branding perspective, that, and this is something that's easy to integrate into what you do on video, on Zoom, on a video conference or whatever, are props. You know, that you can utilize and integrate props into your presentations, your videos. And what I was digging through, exactly, so you've got your makeup brushes, which are your props. I was actually digging through my drawers here, because I was thinking, I have this pen, and it's a beautiful pen with almost like a diamond type of
Oh yeah.
thing on the top. Can't
Yeah.
find it right now, but nonetheless, I did find a couple of pens in my drawers. And so let's just say that you are someone who is teaching, you know, you're an authority in what it is that you do, and you're teaching, and maybe you've got some journals that you're writing on, or it's part of the process of you training somebody and you've got pens. Like, think about the pen that you're using, and is the pen a way that you could integrate your brand colors or the metallics that you use? You know, so this one here, this is not my brand pen, but this is something that belonged to someone else who I, you know, I got this, they gave this to me. But look at this, it's so cute, right? With the little crystals and stuff. So if you're trying to really create an image of a more premium style brand, maybe having a pen with a fancy diamond on the top, or the little Swarovski crystals. It's little details like this that can really send a signal to somebody else subliminally without them even really, you don't have to say, look at my pen with Swarovski crystals. It's just a prop that sends a message subliminally. Now, conversely, like, this is a pen from another organization that I got. I mean, this is a completely different style of pen. So this is very utilitarian. This is very bare bones. We're getting down to business, normal type of pen. So these pens say different things about you, right? So just using this as an example. Now on video, I love this. Oh, look how much this matches. This is one of those Yeti style, you know, mugs.
Uh-huh.
And my assistant gifted this to me, and look, she had my name and my logo like engraved on it. I mean, come on, so awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
fabulous.
it's fabulous. Now, this could be, I could use this as a prop. I have, you know, sometimes if I'm sitting outside, let's say I'm doing a video and I'm outside by the pool, I might use this and put some coffee in it and have this and hold it and be doing in my Instagram live, you know, and I've got my mug and I'm just kind of like, you know, whatever. This is a prop. This could be utilized as a prop. I'm a huge Prince fan, so this is a different style of mug. And when we're on right? Purple Rain, hello. So I often use this, and like today I have water in it, but you know, I'll have tea or coffee or whatever. And do you have, what is it saying about your personality? So this says a lot about my personality. I'm from the 80s, people. I love 80s music. I'm all about Prince. Don't even get me started. And obviously that has integrated into like the color. My favorite color is purple. And so this says a lot about my personality. And so I could be just using this mug. And I'm not saying, I'm not drawing attention to it or anything. I'm just using it. Mm-hmm. So it's sending a signal to people, oh, she must love Prince. You know, so thinking about props and thinking about things that you could integrate into your presentations and into your videos that sends a signal to someone about who you are and what your personality is, yes, I think is really, really powerful. It could even be your cell phone cover. What cell phone, like mine's purple, right? I have this sort of a glittery purple, kind of muted purple color. What are these accessories that are potentially going to make their way into your video? Because this happens a lot. I often talk about my phone because I'll say, you should be making videos and you just need your phone. But if I show my phone on the screen, make sure that it doesn't have SpongeBob SquarePants on it.
Or it's beat up. That's another thing.
Yeah, exactly. This one's starting to get a little bit beat up, and I may need to get another one. Eyeglass cases, like just things that you have around you prop wise that you really want to give some thought to. What are those things that might integrate into your presentation?
That is so, and that is so true. I'm a big pen person. I love pens. So that you wouldn't want something that's too distracting. But to me, I personally look at a lot of little details, and that shows, you know, success or not, or detail.
I use this pen probably more often than not, and there's nothing fancy about this. Mm-hmm. This is totally on brand for me though, because I'm trying to show simplicity, and I'm really I'm trying to exude more of not a utilitarian, that's not the right word, but more of a basic approach to video. Like I'm not trying to show that it has to be perfect. I'm trying to express that it's attainable and like, let's just get down to business and let's just get it done and let's script out your videos. And so for
And anyone
me,
can do it.
and anyone can do it. This is normal. There's nothing abnormal about this or fancy.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
I
careful.
wouldn't even look at it also. It just,
Exactly.
I
I'm
have
not drawing
nothing.
attention to this.
Right.
I'm not really using this as a necessarily to say anything. And it's not to say that every item around you needs to say something. It's just being cognizant of the fact that things around you could say something.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's great. I love that. I love that. So what's the next tip you got in your sleeve there?
Okay. So let me take a look.
I know you've got lots.
Okay. The second one is something that really affects your brand, but that not as many people understand how. And that is through the content you create. And this is really my wheelhouse. The content that you create says everything about your brand. And I see a lot of times when I'm either connecting with people or working with clients, the content that they want to make is misaligned to their brand. Let me give you an example, Leslie. I was working with a client recently and we were strategizing. We were trying to come up with her first 4 video titles. And so the beginning of the conversation, I asked questions about, okay, well, who is it that we're trying to attract? And she tells me, and that's fine. So we go through, we're about 50 minutes through, like we're almost an hour into the call. And we're talking more, I'm realizing, wait a minute, this is not aligned. So, because what she was saying was different than what she had told me at the beginning. So I started digging into that and then come to find out the people she thought, she just was kind of coming up with this idea of who she thought she should be making the content for, but the people she really wanted to make the content for were completely different.
Interesting.
And so I picked up on it and dug a little deeper and went, okay, but let's dive into that because this is fundamental. This affects your brand. Because if we're making content for a completely different set of people, that's why videos don't get views. They don't get traction. They don't get shared. They don't gather any engagement and they kind of flop. That's why a lot of people go, oh, I've tried video and it didn't work. Aha. But if we were to dig deeper, we'd probably find out you were making content for the wrong people. And so it affects your brand at the end of the day, because if you're not speaking to them and sharing your insights and experiences and knowledge and wisdom with them to the people that are really going to benefit from it, it's a misalignment for your brand. It doesn't make any sense. So really starting off and understanding who the people are that you want to attract. But then second to that, once you've figured that out and you're really, really 100% clear on what that is and who those people are, then creating the videos, I like to share a framework that is universal, that works for any type of video, whether it's recorded, whether it's live stream, it even works for trainings. And this is what the formula is. And just kind of think of it, this is 3 E's, right? 3E outline. It's engage, educate, and enroll. And if you can just keep that in your mind every time you do a video, engage, educate, and enroll, you are going to build your brand because you're hitting off all of the areas that are required to get engagement from those people.
Right.
And so you engage them. And this is what I teach this in my workshops. I teach this on YouTube, on my channel. Engage means to either use a statistic, a startling statement, or a question. Those are 3 things that you can do to quickly hook or engage somebody off the top. And then when you're looking to build authority and be seen as an expert at what you do, education is really like teach people something. Don't hold anything back. Get out there and teach and coach and mentor and share some of your best stuff in your content. And then finally enroll them into what is the next step. It doesn't always have to be selling anything. In fact, I recommend that it not be necessarily selling anything, but it's subscribe to my channel, like my page, contact me here, text me at this number, email me, whatever that is.
Right.
And that's, going a little deeper into sales and things like that. It can definitely be sales, but using this 3E video outline, in my opinion, is the best way to get, people to be creating videos that truly work for them, which ultimately builds their brand.
And whether we are, because we're always in a way selling something, whether it's, you're in a service industry or you are, you know, actually selling a product. I mean, we're always doing something to take us, you know, in front of the correct audience, because
Yeah.
that's kind of what has happened to the internet now. And it can be somewhat daunting.
It is. Oh, I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Mhm.
There's a lot.
There's
There's
a
a lot
lot,
to it.
there's a lot of like shouting selling, kind of, you know, like buy my stuff, this is it, you know. So there's a lot of that. And there, I like your approach to what you're saying, because it's kind of exactly what we're doing right now. I started doing pro industry interviews, not to monetize, but to share. First of all, makeup artists that I knew from the film industry. And because there was an anniversary of a TV show, my first TV show I'd ever worked on. And I started doing that. And I just love people. I love people. I find people interesting. And then, of course, you know, you and I met several years ago. And then I started realizing, like, wow, I know a lot of cool people. and and I love to share out there because it's so relevant to all of our different services.
For sure.
Connecting.
And that's, you know, content is the foundation of it all online. If you have any intention of building your business online, content is the foundation of doing that. So sometimes people get caught and they go, okay, well, I'm an authority and I want to build my business online. I'm going to create this funnel. And so, because they're told that they got to have a funnel, they got to have a, you know, this complicated. And so now they start going down this rabbit hole of lead pages and Zapiers and Zaps and CRM and autoresponder and all this technical mumbo jumbo over here. And they do that. And they spend 2 years and lots of money figuring all the fun. And they got the funnel. Then they get the funnel sets and they go, okay, great. Where are the people? And they're looking around and it's crickets. And the reason why it's cricket is because they have not created any content. There's no content to drive people into the funnels. Right. You got the funnel, you got the Lamborghini, but there's no gas in the car. You know, so it's important to be thinking about content and the importance of that as it builds your brand. The last thing is, now we're going to get into some fun stuff over here, right? Is clothing. Thinking about clothing and what it says. You mentioned about the purple and that you think this is a good color on me. I like it too. It's just makes me happy. And I think that helps to exude a certain level of confidence on camera too. Mm-hmm. But there are some do's and don'ts. You can never go wrong with solids, and you can never go wrong, in my opinion, with color. You know, I mean, choosing the right color, and you, Leslie, would have more insight into what colors are right for people. But, you know, I brought my cashmere cardigan collection here because this was the most widespread kind of color palette that I have to show examples. And then looking at pattern, and there are some things to avoid. Like, for example, if you're on, I bought this in Naples, Florida years ago, but I knew when I bought it that I wasn't buying it with the intent of wearing it on camera. I bought it for myself personally, and that I would wear it more as I'm, you know, going out for dinner with my husband or something like that. But you see, like these type of patterns, these tight geometric, what is this called? Is this called houndstooth? Is that what that is? I'm not even sure.
I don't know if it's quite a houndstooth, but it's definitely like a check. And Sheryl, one thing I'd love for you to do is just kind of move that sweater a little bit. Just kind of move it around. So
this?
Yes. And see now.
See how it's like, it's buzzy. It doesn't.
It's called a moire effect. Yes. And it's kind of like a moire eel, you know, where it, yeah. And what happens is that all of a sudden Sheryl disappeared and all you're paying attention to is all this noise going on with that shirt.
Yeah. So it's funny because when I looked at examples in my closet of what not to wear, it's hard for me to find what not to wear because I'm so good at avoiding the things not to wear. But this was the closest I could find to something I would not probably wear on camera. Yeah. Now, so as far as pattern is concerned though, you know, this top, which I think this was not an expensive top, but I love the pattern of this and the colors. They're not necessarily purple. And so it's not so literal. But I think this is just kind of an interesting mod kind of pattern that doesn't buzz on camera and works because it's irregular. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing with, if you have things that are geometric and tight, they tend to buzz. Something loose and irregular like that could probably work. And then something like this is a nice silk top that I bought years ago that I love. You know, this is, you know, more, I don't know how to describe this.
Abstract.
Abstract. I don't mind that. That's about as tight a pattern as I would probably wear on camera, but I don't mind this at all. And I like the colors. This is a little bit more aligned to the blues and the purples and that sort of thing. One thing to think about too with clothing is what you wear. You want to make sure that there's definition between what you wear on your body to what's happening in the back. So you would not wear black. First of all, I try to avoid wearing all black and all white. Sometimes I do wear white when I'm doing virtual video production because I'm trying to do something really nondescript because the focus isn't on me, it's on the client. But certainly for most people, you don't want to be wearing black and then have a black background.
A dark background, sure. Then you look like a little floating head.
Exactly. Like what you're wearing the black, but you have the contrast of what's going on behind you. And black is on brand for you because you're a makeup artist. So like, that's a line that makes sense.
My logo is black and white.
Hello. Hello. But that makes perfect sense in your industry to do that, you know? And sometimes, you know, for me, when I was on TV, I definitely wore black, but I would try to find not jet black. I would find just like that dark charcoal because you want to be able to see the definition of stitching or pockets and things like that, which you cannot see if it's jet black. So it's just something to consider. You know, if I'm wearing this cardigan, let's say, and this is black, that's fine. But what I would do is I would wear this with a bright top underneath. Like maybe I would wear this with a pink, like a bright pink camisole or something underneath it, just to brighten up the black. That's not so bad.
I would love to interject one thing. Is because Sheryl has colors, you know, beyond with her cardigans, but if you're starting with video or maybe clothing is not your thing, is get on Zoom, do your own little recording and stick to 3 or 4 changes. Stick to 3 or 4. And then that way, you know, it's kind of like Zuckerberg, like he kind of has like his white t-shirts or his, you know, so if that, and then that way you can be on brand and it's one less thing that you have to worry about. You can see like which colors, because sometimes, and you want to also, you don't want to look at yourself and go, oh my God, I look like I weigh 20 pounds more than what I do, you know, and that can be a lot with clothing as well.
Yeah. Well, this is a good segue into the makeup part, right? Leslie, like, you know, I have all these different colors. And I'm happy to bring up the colors as you give us the makeup tips in terms of how this would play into these colors, because I'm going to learn something from you, of course, because I always do. But I think it's important, you know, most people, solid colors, it's really hard to mess up. It's hard to mess up a solid color. So if you're looking to start building your wardrobe for on camera, and here's the thing, the beautiful thing about Zoom now is you really only have to worry about the waist up. This was what, you know, my husband worked in TV for 30 years. And how many times was he on the anchor desk and he had his, you know, shirt, tie, jacket, and he's wearing cargo shorts on the bottom because no one can see it. So, right? This is a little TV trick, but it's true. You know, he's wearing sandals and you know, Birkenstocks or whatever. And on the top, he's all business. So the things you don't know about what's happening in TV, and you know this, but yeah, it's fun. And so just thinking about color, thinking about solids, you can't go wrong. But now it's like, how do you tie the whole look together? And that's where I would defer to your expertise.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I was going to say, I love some of those colors that you have. And I think, you know, to make your life easier, you definitely want to find a look that is, you know, a look that is obviously camera ready. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about, especially with her sweaters, is talk about lips. I'm going to start talking about lip colors first. So Sheryl already has, we actually kind of have a similar lip color.
Yeah, today.
So I have a lip matte, which and of course, you know, now with COVID, that's a whole other issue. But a lip matte, and again, since my hairstylist made me a little blonder, I'm moving more into your color family as well. So it's
Yes.
kind of thrown me a little bit for a loop with the colors that I usually wear. But now what I would say with Sheryl is that she has a great neutral, but a more pinky tone lip. So I call that, it's a happy color, right? If and it ties in nicely pretty much with any color. I would say maybe red, that would maybe not work as well.
Sure.
Blues, purples, you know, grays, browns, pinks, and it really, you always just look very, you know, inviting and happy and healthy. And those are the things you don't want to look dead. You don't want to look angry. You don't want to have the resting face. You know, these are the things. And it's so quick that could happen, because especially if you're listening to somebody else and I'll just sit there like this, all of a sudden I look so bored and uninterested. And your makeup can really exaggerate that too. So I love that with the colors that you did pick. So I was going to share a couple of things with that is, so for example, let's say Sheryl, you were wearing a, and again, if you were wearing that purple top or that, yeah, let's put the pink one next to you. See, I think that looks, it's perfect. She can change her top. If she were shooting maybe a couple of different videos, it would look like it's a different day. You could put a couple of curls in your hair, and if you wanted to make that transition, like, oh, I didn't shoot all of these in a sequence, it would be an easy thing to do.
Well, that's a great point, because this often, I know for us in our company, we often do, when we do virtual video production, we will work with clients and I'm interviewing them one after the other. And so I hadn't really thought about that, but having a lip color that can run the gamut between the different top changes. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, make it so that I would probably say a lot of times that comes from my film and TV background of continuity, because you don't want to screw up on a lip color when you go from one scene to the next. And you're
so true.
Yeah, I shot a TV show that we were shooting 8 episodes simultaneously.
Yeah.
Simultaneously in the same day. That is a nightmare for continuity. So things that can make it easy for you are wonderful. Now, I wanted to just share. So, for example, let's say Sheryl, I would say, you know, your lips are like average size. They're not too big. They're not too small. But let's say she has her purple top on, and I'm just going to put, and you decide that you want to go with this color.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So this color, and I'm not even going to put it on, but I wanted to show you right here.
Yeah.
Not only would this, and it's a beautiful color, but this is kind of like for you that remember that Vamp by Chanel. That was huge in the 90s.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Not to say that it couldn't look beautiful, but on camera, this color would make her look severe, would shrink up your lips so small, and it would take all of that happiness and softness away.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend that you try using a couple of different colors. And then I'm going to go to the opposite here, because now there's actually, I love wearing nudes, but now I've kind of had to change my nude. That sounds funny. Changing my nude.
I hear you.
So now, for example, this color here. I'll show you. Of course, next to this one, it's a little pinkier on camera. Yeah. But if I were to put this on, it would take a lot of life out of my face. And especially now that my hair is lighter. So now all of a sudden I would start to look kind of pale. Not to say that you can't wear a nude, but there's a lot of different nudes out there. So this one tends to be a little bit warmer. I would also say if you have smaller lips, use a little lighter color. Definitely don't go with something like that or a
No.
deep red, because then all of a sudden you just see kind of like this little slit and it has color and it's moving. And it's very easy to get distracted and just focus in on something that is not your message, right? Or that's even making you look prettier. I mean, beauty sells. So maximize what you have to work with.
Sure.
That's the biggest thing. So then, for example, I would say I have a color called Cherub. That's kind of a nudie color I wanted to show you. But Cherub, and I think Cheryl will like this one. It's funny because on my skin tone, I'm quite olive, and
Oh,
colors look really pink. It looks a lot pinker on my hand, but this is actually the color that I have on my lip.
right. I like that.
Yes, which
And
is very
so,
similar to what you have on.
so would that look good if I'm wearing the gray,
Beautiful. Yes.
right? Because if I'm wearing the gray, now I can have that pink pop on
Yes.
the one you just showed.
Right. Because if she were to put this nude on with that gray,
No,
no,
no.
it would again just drain all the. So one thing I want to share with you is a color that you love and might look good every day. Try it on camera and see what it does, because it's very easy to start looking drab or not looking your best. You do need a little bit more pop of color. So it's really funny. And again, we're kind of, going into these different nudes. And then here is,
What about this? What about this, Leslie? This,
mm,
I love this color, right? It's kind of like an orange, kind of corals. I always question what I should wear when I'm like, do I try to get a lipstick that matches the corals and the oranges? Is it too matchy?
it could possibly be, and unfortunately, I don't have the color with me, but it's a color called Titan, and it's a sheer lip gloss
Ah,
that has it's more like like a sheer, so you're not matchy like you're saying, but it's kind of tying it in, so you have again, like your blush would be a little bit too pink right now, so you kind of want to tie that in with a bit warmer colors. But and I'm all for mixing cools and warms. I love doing that with makeup, so that's one thing that I personally, I'm not autumn, winter, spring kind of, like, I don't stick
yeah,
into those boxes,
yeah.
even though you do want to look at which colors are look good on you. Stay away from some of those colors that aren't that great. But Cheryl has enough warmth in her skin that she really looks good with both of those shades.
Right.
You're
And then you
lucky.
have something like this that's more on the like a cool, like a
Uh-huh.
blue, which I love. Blue is nice on me, I find, because my eyes are blue, so it does make my eyes pop.
Yes.
But still,
And
when I wear blue, I would not wear a dark lip color.
no, no, because again, when with Cheryl, the focus, I would say the focus of her face are not her lips. They're really her eyes. And you want something to tie it in. And if you had a really dark color, then you've got a dark color here, you've got another dark color here, and now your lips are competing with your eyes, is how I feel. And also, like, that dark color, not only does it make your eyes really pop, but it's also kind of slimming, right? It really is. So now so try that red one on again, and let's see kind of the difference of,
This one here,
yes.
this sort of orangey.
Uh-huh. To see, you have a bigger presence, so to speak, of, like, what's taking over is the shirt more than the face.
Yeah.
And so you want to be careful sometimes with that, if unless it's just really you really love it. But I really feel that our face is really what we're selling. You know, that's our brand. That's what we're talking about. Unless you're, you know, selling clothing or something,
Right.
where you're just a model, and that's a whole different story. So really kind of tying in and looking at, you know, these different colors. Not to say that, you know, a gala, you could look amazing with, you
Right.
know, a fabulous white dress and a bold red lip and your hair slicked back or something, and that would look, you know, unbelievable, very chic. But that's maybe, you know, it wouldn't be on brand. And one thing I want to share also is that, and I did, it's not necessarily one of the tips that I'd written down, but it is stay somewhat consistent. Don't look one way one time, especially for people that are newer and not known, because it's really confusing to the audience. You know I have videos with my glasses on and without my glasses on, and especially if you go back several years, my hair was a lot shorter. And so you really want to make sure that people can recognize you, that you look familiar, that you're, you know, and again, makeup can help a lot with that too, because you're not going from like a totally vampy look to big old lashes to now natural to, you know, and so that can really be distracting, I would say.
That's great.
Or the hair a lot of times too. Again, is that on brand? If you're a hairstylist, then hey, go for it, you know,
Yeah.
but most people aren't. Um, the next thing I wanted to do is I did want to share. So we were talking about like the eyes, they're the gateway to the soul. They're communicating so much already. And if your eyes look tired, you know, please put some concealer on. I mean, but spend some time to, and men and women, I'm just not talking about just women now, but men, you know, all my actors, they would go through our makeup chair, minimal, different technique, but still it's really important. And I would say is really, you know, blend and have a pretty application. Spend some time learning the best technique on how to make your eyes pop, and then kind of stick to that. So I will share here, for example, this is, you know, this is our celebrity palette. That's a really nice neutral palette. And I actually kind of designed this palette here. This was kind of our palette that I created a Jennifer Aniston look. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of like a lot of people want, if they say, what celebrity would I want to look like, or what style? Jennifer Aniston, because she's consistent. She ages gracefully and beautifully. And you talk about being on brand, right? I mean, you never see her.
Wholesome, natural. Yeah.
Yeah, that is her ticket to success. And so having, you know, a palette. So for example, like this one, we not only have like an eye primer and then all of your eye colors, sorry, and then, you know, like a liner, so you can use the colors for a liner too, and your blushes, but you also have your brow wax, your brow. So everything, your brows, your eyes, your cheeks, everything is in there, and it's easy for you. But with that said, is just really finding the right technique. And of course, you know, that's one thing that we do. We do makeup lessons all the time.
Yes.
We do them virtually, and we did, Sheryl and I, she's in Canada and I'm in Florida. So we did a virtual makeup lesson and had lots of fun. So kind of showing some new technique. You wanted to kind of learn some, you know, getting out of that anchory kind of look, you know, to a little bit more casual. Awesome. That's what we do every day.
Yeah.
So it's important to spend some time learning that, you know, that DIY, how you can do it like a pro. And again, having that consistency will just make your life so easy. So, you know, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to do my 15-20 minute makeup, and I'm ready to turn that camera on. So that's one thing. And then I'll share with you, this is the complexion tip, because this is my thing. So you're going to learn facial features. Okay, this is like my go-to palette. It's called La Must, and it's because you must have it. Now, It
I
is.
love it. I love it. Love the naming. Le must.
The must is
The
the
must.
must. So in this, I'm going to show you what I do every day. And I have a pretty square face. I have a pretty big face as well, right? I'm short, but I have a big face and a big personality. So now the key is having the right brushes as well. You can't have a brush that is this big, and especially if you have a little tiny face, and put it on, because then you're going to have product all the way across your face. So it's really key to understand which products, which tools you need, with which products. Okay. So now everybody has different bone structure. Obviously, Sheryl has a more oval face than I do, smaller face. So for me, what I do is I take and again, on video, and we love Zoom because it has some fun little filters so we can, look a little more attractive. But normally with video, you want to stay away from too much shimmer. That's going to be a little overload. And again, you can I remember Katie Couric in the day. It used to drive me crazy because she's got little tiny lips, and she would wear this super frosted pink lip gloss, and it drove me bananas.
Crazy.
I would watch her, and that's all I could see were those she's got like little slit lips, little tiny, and it was just, I'm like, let me do your makeup, Katie. Okay, so I'm going to take my highlight, and I'm going to show you a quick down and dirty, easy thing. So I use one side of my brush and I do my highlight, right? So I'm just going to kind of take it here, give myself just a little bit of highlight. This does have a very light shimmer to it, and I don't know if it kind of like...
Yeah, I can see it a little bit. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Mix it up a little bit. Okay, so then the next thing, this is what I do, right? I'm just showing you what I do. This is called London, and this is called Nagoya. Now, if you don't know where your bone structure is and your cheekbone, you're just, you can either take your fingers and kind of roll, right?
Yeah, you can feel it.
Right. So right here, right? And as we age, we tend to start getting a little bit of this, right? So those are some of the areas that I want to erase. And I'm going to do this really quickly. I don't have to go to my plastic surgeon to do this. I just have my Le Must palette. So I dip it. Now, instead of kind of using the side of my brush, I'm using the full, and granted, it's not real fat, right?
Yep.
It's not a huge brush. So I'm going to take that, I'm dipping it into London. I'm going to dip it once into Nagoya because that's a dark color. And I'm going to dip it back into my London. The reason why I'm doing that is because if I went to the dark color and dipped it in there last, I would have a really dark strip. So I want to get a little bit of that depth, but not a lot. Okay, so I'm trying to, let me grab my mirror here. This is fun. Trying to do this. So now I'm going to go. Now my face shape is square or a little bit kind of rectangular. So what I want to do is I don't want to take it necessarily straight across. I want to give myself a little bit of curvature. And what I do is I build. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to continue to build. You don't want to grab so much product that you've got this big brown stripe and you can't get rid of it, which I'm sure has happened to everyone, right? So I continue until and it depends on your lighting too. That's a huge thing. I've got overhead lights and I've got a light in front of me. So I've got it pretty bright because I want to be blown out and I want to look as young as I can. So that's my magic, girls.
So, oh yeah, I can see it.
Right? So you can see, look at the difference.
Yeah.
Right? So it lifted my face. Now I just lost about, 5 to 10 pounds on my face. And So you can take that contour, but it's not like you really are looking at contour on my face, right? It's not the chiseled YouTuber kind of look.
No.
I'm going to take a little bit more, and because I want to kind of soften my forehead a little bit. So right up here, I'm going to take this, okay? And I'm going to take a little bit more, and I'm just going to just click right under here, right? I'm going to soften that up a tiny bit. So I'm going to just show you, kind of pull my hair back. So here is no contour, and here we are getting some definition.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that now I'm not looking as flat and as, you know, and so the last little trick is, I'm just going to show you quickly. Now, this is my number 15 brush because I want to slim my nose a little bit. I did the same thing, same colors. And let me see here. I take this little guy right here. And with my glasses, just give me a cute little nose, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to use that big giant one.
No.
I'm just going to use this. And of course, I would put some, you know, powder on. The HD powder is key. But, you know, I kind of want to. And unfortunately, as we age, our earlobes and our nose continue to grow, which is not the sexiest thing we want. Right? So then the last step is, don't forget to add some blush. So I've got my blushers right here. What I do is I add a little bit of color kind of in between.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to look monochromatic. I want to look happy and I want to look alive. And so there we go. And then you could tie it in with a little bit more pink or a little bit, you know, more of a reddish tone. This is where you can tie it in. And a lot of times you may want to do your lips before your blush, because then you can kind of see. And I love the way Sheryl does her blush. She's got a smaller face than me and she's got beautiful cheekbones. If I did my blush as big as her, this would start dragging down a little.
Well, it's funny because I think that I do bring it down a little. I got to work on that. I want to bring it up a little bit more. I think I'm probably not using, I don't know if it's just technique or the brush, but I feel like it does come down a little too far. So I want to work on, again, you know, I think that's the thing is, as you keep doing, you're always learning new techniques and always trying to improve your technique. The same is true of video. It's like true of anything that you do. But I feel like I'm going to try to really start working more on getting this up. So it's not, the blush isn't coming down quite as far.
Yeah. Well, and again, I know a lot of you watch a lot of things on YouTube, but just remember, your face is not like the person that is doing the tutorial. So unless you understand your bone structure, you know, my technique would not necessarily be the exact technique that Sheryl would use. And so it's really helpful to understand where you need to place that. So again, call us. You can go to studiocara.com. You can go to caracosmetics.com, get a virtual lesson, watch some more of our videos on contouring and things like that too. But, you know, in understanding that, and Sheryl, because I know you've got a client, so.
That's okay. But I was going to say,
Oh boy.
But at the end of the day, what we're really saying here is put some thought into how you present yourself. Your image does have a lot to do with your brand. How you present yourself has a lot to do with your brand. What your surroundings are does impact your brand. What comes out of your mouth, the content you create, impacts your brand. All of these things that we've talked about today are touch points to your ideal client and customer. And so if you think about that and really start learning some techniques or adopting some strategies so that you can dial in what those touch points are so that you can craft the brand that you want to create, that's what you need to be working toward doing. And I appreciate having the opportunity to come on and share tips. And I always learn something from you as well, which I did today, as I always do. laugh.
Ditto.
And so much fun to be able to spend time with you. And I would say that if anyone's interested to know more about how to, I have a YouTube channel. You can certainly subscribe to that. New videos every Thursday. I do free trainings every week. I do workshops, full day workshops. Just send me a DM, text me, email me. I'll post the information below this video if you want to text me and just say, hey, I saw you talking to Leslie on Monday. And I'll hook you up with free resources that'll help you in that area.
Can you share just for 1 second about your workshop that I'm going to sign up to do, by the way?
Okay, sure.
Yes, because we all need it.
Yeah. Well, listen, YouTube channel has been doing amazingly well. And I gained 8,000 subscribers, 680,000 video views in 90 days. And I thought back on how did I do that exactly? Well, I use what I call a 4P framework. And I decided that I would teach that. I'm going to teach the 4P framework. I also go over the 3E video outline, which I've briefly talked about today. Plus, we start working on the roadmap. So you bring a notebook and pen, but I guide you through figuring out what is your core platform. How do you repurpose that content as a solopreneur or someone with small teams? How do you leverage that content on multiple platforms? And so we cover all of that and more on the workshop, and would love to have you there.
That's fantastic. Well, great. And Sheryl, if please post your workshop in, on my page or send me the information. She's a wealth of knowledge. Again, I think we're a pretty darn good team, Sheryl.
I love chatting with you. When we have one of these, I get excited because I'm like, oh, I get to show stuff. I get to have fun. I always learn something from you, which is amazing. We're, at the end of the day, we're, as entrepreneurs, if you're a coach, consultant, speaker, author, an entrepreneur, we're all lifelong learners, or at least you should be. You should be listening to podcasts. You should be reading books. You should be listening to trainings. You should be taking in, these opportunities to better yourself and
update your makeup look.
Yeah.
Don't stick to what you did 30 years ago and look irrelevant. That is huge. It's okay to age. Just don't look like you are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Because this world is not about that.
Yeah. It's a good point. I know that's what you help people do with the virtual makeup tutorials are awesome. Like what a great service that is to be able to just spend some time with you and have you kind of correct, and it's amazing. I love what you do.
It's so fun, and what you do too. And I think that it's just a great combination. This is what COVID has offered us to really, it has blown your business into a direction that you were kind of heading, but it made you accelerate, right?
It really did. Yeah.
Same for me. We've been doing virtual lessons for quite some time, but I see now what a need people have and what a great way to reach someone.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's fun. And I feel that I want every woman to look at herself in the mirror and be happy at that, at what she sees there.
Yeah,
and
for
to
sure.
give you confidence. It's not about how beautiful you are comparing yourself to somebody else. It's how beautiful you feel. And, that's what's important too. So.
Yeah. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. This is, it's always a blast. I will post the information below this video.
Great. Well,
thank you, Leslie.
I want to thank everybody for watching, and best of luck to all of you. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, Sheryl.
Bye.